Thank you for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Mark Hudspeth, the head coach of Louisiana Lafayette. If you have a question for Coach Hud, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Coach, while we're waiting for questions to get in the queue, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah.
Coach?
Hey, just glad to get a big road win. Hard to win on the road in college football, and went up against a team that was coming off a big showing where they really played awfully well against a Michigan team, and they were very confident, very high coming into the game against us. Proud of the way our guys played, responded once they responded and made a few plays back at us. Our guys just kept battling, kept making plays when we needed to. I thought at times we played really well, still made a few mistakes, but we was able to overcome them. I thought Terrence Broadway played exceptionally well, especially on a bad ankle the whole second half. I thought he was the difference in the game, sort of put our team on his shoulders and ran with it. And so we're very proud of him there. So glad to get a win. We needed that going into the open date before we play Texas State in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Coach. Our first questions come from Columbia, Missouri. Caller, please identify yourself and go ahead.
Morning, Coach. It's Troy Schulte from the Democrat Gazette in Little Rock, Arkansas. How are you?
Hey, Troy. Doing fine, thanks.
Hey, I was just curious. Last year, the league, you guys gained quite a bit of notoriety when you played some of the AQ schools, won some games, and played some close. Some of those scores have been a little bit more spread out this year. Just wondering, do those reflect anything on the league, you think? And if so, what do you think it is, I guess?
No, I really don't. You can't just say it was Sun Belt. I mean, you look at Oregon, they beat Maryland 55-5. So
right.
There's been a lot of lopsided games throughout the country in every division, not just in some of the Sun Belt games. I thought we competed fairly well against Arkansas and Kansas State. Really felt like we had a chance really to keep those even closer. Felt like we had a chance to win both of them going in. Didn't do that. But, there have been a couple lopsided scores, but there's been some teams that have been pretty competitive too. But you can't just point your finger at this conference. You look at Florida National in the Conference USA.
Right.
You look at Maryland, like I said, against Oregon. And some of those great teams, they're going to beat everybody. Put a lot of points on a lot of people, whether it's Texas A&M, whether it's Oregon, Oklahoma State, even in conference. And so when I look at that across the region, across the country, it doesn't stand out a whole bunch.
Right, yeah. Does overall perception of the league nationally, is that something you guys as coaches worry about during the season? I imagine it's a pretty big worry overall, but when you're in the season, is that something you guys pay much close attention to?
Well, I mean, you don't really have time to pay a whole lot of attention to it, but you worry about it. But you definitely check the scores every week, and you sort of see how teams did and if you had any common opponents. And but I just definitely think our conference is head-to-head. You look at the head-to-head. I tell you one thing we do get. We get a report from our conference right now, and our head-to-head scores, our head-to-head record, is the best of all the 5 non-AQ conferences.
Right.
And so we're way ahead of a lot of other conferences, surely way ahead of Conference USA in head-to-head wins versus other conferences. And, just beat the MAC this week. And so our conference is doing a lot of good things for us out-of-conference wins.
Right. All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Troy, and thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for you today. I do appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.
Remember, we stand by. I'll have Todd Berry of ULM on shortly. Please stand by.